been an amazing conference. My brain is absolutely full of new knowledge. And hopefully I'll be able to repay the favor. A lot of the conversations have been around digital advertising, media, how to get to consumers. I'm going to take you a little bit inside what we're seeing some of the world's top brands do with technology. So we talk about the power of apps and APIs. The top 3 reasons that chief digital officers use apps and APIs is loyalty, engagement, and commerce. It's not about improving your media buy. It's not about your TV placement. It's about taking the product and service, the brand relationship you have with consumers, putting it in their pocket and making it something they want to come back to every day. So why should you listen to us? We've worked with 100,000 developers, support about 25,000 apps, and we've done that in the last 4 years. It's an amazing, burgeoning landscape. It's like evolutionary biology at work. Things are changing constantly. We've also seen the connection between apps and brands. So we've had the opportunity to build a customer base of 500 enterprise customers with half of the top 100 global brands and half of the top retailers. Here are 2 thoughts on what, 2 sections on what we've learned. First, every business is a digital business. Second, every business needs a digital platform. We're seeing these being constructed on a constant basis. Some failures, some successes. I want to share what works. And then finally, every business has a chief digital officer. Raise your hand if you are a CDO or you work for the CDO in your organization. So we have a few left. Based on the content I've seen so far, many of you are coming from a marketing background with some technology discipline rather than a technology background moving to a marketing discipline. What we've seen in general is that there's about a 50-50 split between people who have titles or roles of chief digital officer in a company. So one of the things that we've started to learn is what's the job description and what makes that person successful. I'll talk about those components at the end. In terms of being a digital business, we think of digital business as being shaping behavior at scale. Walgreens, has anybody used the Walgreens app? So Walgreens had a problem, which was falling foot traffic into their stores. As you know, end caps, all the things that we like to drive people to purchase, to drive our core business, was starting to die away because people were getting pharmacy refills over the web. They were starting to get the satisfaction of sharing a photo produced by digital media rather than actually printing a photo. So what they did is they put an API around the store. They said, we want to project a digital impression of a physical store and drive people back into the store. So this goes back to the comments that Frank was making yesterday about physical is hot. It's about using the app in your pocket to drive behaviors that you already find value from to get back into the store. What they found was pretty amazing. On average, Walgreens will get about $100 to $200 per month, depending on where you are in the country, from a given customer. Their share of wallet increases 6-fold if that customer is also using their app along with their website, because it gives you really useful things. Pill reminders. You can scan refills. You can print photos directly from Instagram or wherever your photos reside and produce them in the store, which draws you back into the store, generating traffic. They're doing a prescription refill every second right now, and they won an innovation award for the quality of the app. Their return on investment compared to a digital advertising buy, catastrophically better. Second example, and again, all of us have the Nike experience. You can't help it, right? They're everywhere. Fascinating here is that Nike has just about turned off their print advertising. You will not see a lot of TV advertising from Nike these days because the performance of the digital campaign to shape people's behavior at scale has been phenomenal. Now today I'm wearing a suit. Usually I wear my Nike shoes and a Nike shirt because Nike keeps telling me every time I check in with my fuel band, competing with my friends, getting that experience on my mobile app, and then going back to the website, oh, we know you're a runner. We have a $120 pair of shoes that you didn't know you needed to buy, but now you'll pick up. So their profits are up, their revenues are up, their market cap has doubled since introducing this product. This is an amazing response from a company that used to be a t-shirt and shoe company and is now the leading digital sports lifestyle company. So how does that apply to your businesses? We have a think tank called the Apogee Institute, and we do placed panels of CTOs, CMOs, and CIOs. We did a split survey, half CIOs, half CMOs in 30 industries with companies revenue over $500 million annually, ranging up to about $20 billion. Here's what we found. This idea of digital business, right, going beyond just advertising, but actually engaging and wrapping your business in a digital halo so that you can draw in your existing customers, get new customers, increase your loyalty, your engagement, your commerce, had these kinds of outcomes. Dabblers who say, we've kind of checked the box, we have an app, we have some in-app advertising, we have an API, but aren't really committed, don't have a chief digital officer, don't have a strategy, they're not performing that well, right? They're not that efficient. Customer satisfaction hasn't improved that much. Revenue hasn't improved that much. But look at the leaders. Let me take you through what the leaders have done differently. They've built digital platforms to compete in this mobile-driven era of information technology. What Dave said in the last session was phenomenal, right? Mobile first changes everything. You need to re-engineer and think about how do you unleash your employees, how do you unleash your agencies, how do you unleash every part of your ecosystem so that you can be generating these net new experiences that produce the business results you want. It's not about grabbing eyeballs. It's certainly not about horrible banner ads. It's about rapid development of apps, because apps are where the behavior happens. The second part of a digital platform is APIs. APIs drive behavior by delivering data to apps. If I give you different data dynamically based on what we know about the user, based on the offers that you have, based on the content that's the latest, based on the new news, that's going to change behavior at scale because you've got 20 million instances of the app. Each person's running it on 2.3 devices. Those app experiences are coherent and they drive behavior at scale. But many companies aren't attacking this effectively. This is the way you get one point of consistency across all of your channels, whether they're a web channel, a device channel, a social channel, a partner channel. And then finally, big data. Our perspective on big data is it's all about understanding behavior at scale. The problem with this enormous system of all these signals is which ones are really signals, which ones are noise. When you've collected all the different button clicks in your app, when you've collected all the geolocations of everything, you've got terabytes and petabytes of data, most of it meaningless. So how do you use technology to sift through that and bring the noise down and bring the signal out? So this is how we've observed digital platforms getting built. So hopefully this demystifies some of the conversations about apps, APIs, and big data. This following diagram has been very helpful in enabling people to understand how they're all connected. It starts with mobile first, and it's consumption driven. Starting over with the user, thinking about how do we surround the user with a great app experience. That's the first step. Who's going to build it is the second step. Is it going to be an internal developer, an agency developer, someone else? That way, because of that, it has to be self-serve. You want people to come to you with functioning prototypes. I had this great idea for customer experience. It looks like this. Here it is using a little bit of live data. Then you rely on your API team. This is typically organized into business development, marketing, and engineering. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking this is simply a technology engagement. And then finally, leaning into the scale that you have to deal with, web scale and carrier grade. The two comments I want to make here are, first of all, web scale means tons of traffic from all over the world constantly. The way that your systems have been built to handle the web, monetize the web, to measure the web, that's all fundamentally broken in the world of apps. How do you do beaconing in apps? You can't unless you're just doing advertising. How do you get analytics back from this entire system? It's very difficult. And you need to be able to handle it at carrier grade. What we're starting to see is businesses are thinking of themselves not just as digital, but being a business as a platform. Right? Be the Salesforce.com of your industry. So that means now you're a service provider. So you have to be running and thinking about 4 nines, 5 nines of uptime. So it brings me to the last point. What is a chief digital officer? Not every company has one by name, but every company that we've interviewed has one by role. People will say, oh, that's so-and-so, who happens to be the most business-centric CTO in the enterprise, who's really building fans, right? You heard the speaker from Nike talking about how he pushes his CTO direct reports out to the business. And he said, if you have to make a decision between spending time with me or spending time with the business, go spend time with the business. That's a CDO type role at Nike. Sometimes it'll be in the marketing group. But here's what we found that drives both internal success and outperformance in the market. And it's not what we thought. When we ran this survey, again, with 300 different executives in this particular panel, we were shocked by what we found. We expected that the top capabilities would be things like they're intellectually curious, they're tech savvy, they're collaborative, they're comfortable with uncertainty. Turns out those are just table stakes. The really key traits of the highly successful chief digital officers, the ones that we found consistently in the leaders rather than the dabblers in our survey, were as follows. In small type, the things that didn't matter, tech-savvy, risk-taker, collaborative, intellectually curious, as I mentioned. The 4 key components are they have a strong network of innovators. Those are typically innovators inside and outside the company. They're very comfortable with thinking about new ideas and very comfortable with failure. The key to being an innovator is that you fail fast. In many corporations, you can't say, I'm going to fail, but you can say something that we've learned is very, very good language. We're going to test and learn. Right? It's a better word than failure, and it can get through the antibodies. 30 days, we're going to test and learn. What did we learn? Next 30 days, now we're going to do another test and learn cycle. The second thing they do is they simplify complexity well. So many of the slides we've seen that show how difficult this is underneath are mind-boggling. And if an enterprise that you're leading is trying to change, and they see that much complexity, they may well give up before they start. You'll certainly see a ton of resistance. So the simplification of complexity is a critical skill. Many people don't have it, but the successful CDOs do. Third, they manage across departments. A CDO is not a minister without portfolio, but they do hold themselves personally accountable for the experience that every single consumer has with your brand, digitally. So they make sure that they work across marketing, across business development, different business units, different P&Ls, to pull all those experiences into one coherent whole. They think about things like identity, so that you don't lose the user. You don't have amnesia when you log into one property and then to another app. And then finally, they adapt quickly. I mentioned test and learn. This is a constantly changing marketplace. Even startups who are operating on a daily or weekly cadence are frequently shocked by this. The difference between weekly change and quarterly governance couldn't be greater for enterprises who are trying to shift. So really, really effective CDOs adapt quickly to changing circumstances. So I'll just leave you with those 3 thoughts and invite Drew up to have a quick chat. But we found that every business is a digital business. Some are more effective than others. Every business needs a digital platform. Everybody's making a digital platform to varying degrees of success. And then finally, every business has a chief digital officer. But the question is it an effective chief digital officer, or is it somebody who's lacking those skills, badly situated, and not driving out performance? So with that.
Great. Thank you, Sam.